Prayer for Owenmeany, written by John Irving. A photo story presentation by Sarah Perkins. A Prayer for Owenmeany centers around the protagonist, John Wheelwright, who through interactions with his friend Owenmeany comes to a belief in miracles. The plot takes place over two different physical settings and time periods, with John writing as an older man from his home in Toronto, Canada in 1987, describing his life growing up with his family in a small working town focused around primary industries known as Gravesend, in the southeastern state of New Hampshire, between the late 1940s to 1960s. As a result, the story is not told in a chronological order. Gravesend is a key setting as it establishes the conflict of belief and loss of faith for John, as well as his first loss of innocence when John's mother, Tabitha Wheelwright, is killed by Owen during a game of baseball after being hit by Owen's one and only successful bat in his Little League career. Through mourning his mother's death, John begins to question the existence of a God, the relationship between doubt and belief being a prominent theme in the novel. He wonders that if a divine being such as God could allow for his mother to be taken away from him, then could he really exist? As a protagonist, John is a quiet character with qualities such as a wavering belief and the capacity for forgiveness, allowing Owen to be his friend even after his mother's death. Even though John is the protagonist, it is Owen as the supporting character who is the key feature of the novel. He instantly captures the focus of the reader, with a strange, unnatural appearance, as well as voice. In comparison to the two characters, Owen can be seen as a foil to John, as he holds a strong religious faith and a selfless, action-oriented personality. As the novel progresses, the two friends' lives are impacted by Owen's religious faith and are seemingly guided by a divine force. An instance of this occurs at John's house, Wheelwright Manor, in which Owen strongly believes he sees the angel of death watching over a sleeping Tabitha. By interrupting the angel's work, Owen feels that he had been given the angel's job of killing Tabitha, and that her death was not a coincidence, but rather it was the path God had put him on all along. Thus, to the reader, Owen's belief can be seen to distort his perception of a reality. This concept of fate and Owen in a position of religious imagery is heightened after the incident with the angel, when Owen experiences a dream in which he witnesses his own death. This occurs during a production of A Christmas Carol put on by John's stepfather, Dan Needham, in which Owen plays the ghost of Christmas yet to come. While leading Scrooge to see his name on the grave, Owen instead sees his own name and date of death. This is a suspenseful and climactic event in the novel, as it establishes Owen as a symbol representing the relationship between the natural and the supernatural. He is continually put in a place where he is an object showing the spiritual condition of man, along with the distance between divine thought and human nature. The antagonist of the novel is not a person, but rather the concept of institutions, a governing authority, or the system. In the middle section of the novel, this is expressed through John speaking as a grown-up about his hatred towards the United States, specifically President Reagan, which he moves to Canada to get away from. As well as Owen through a conflict with his headmaster, Randy White at Gravesend Academy, an arrogant, power-seeking man who has an intolerance for Owen. Randy White, in this way, shares many of the qualities of the antagonist in the novel, by having many of the views John believes the United States to possess. Besides demonstrating the antagonist, John and Owen's school, Gravesend Academy, is also an important setting, as it helps to show their transition from the children they were previously to the men they are at the end of the novel. In this middle section of the novel, the reader is also introduced to the symbols of the television and the image of women using their sexuality as an instrument of control. The television, a new invention for the time John is writing, is a symbol representing John's growing awareness of the outside world, It shows his transformation from the innocent child he was in the previous section when his mother was killed, to a more aware adult. The TV, giving image to the information he is beginning to know, as well as the personal discoveries he is beginning to make that matures him, marking another loss of innocence. The image of women using their sexuality as an instrument of control can be seen through the characters Hester, John's cousin, and John's pastor's wife, Barb Wiggins. Both Hester and Mrs. Wiggins use kisses to turn Owen into a submissive person. By including this symbol in the novel, it continues the concept of characters maturing, as they can now be affected by girls and their sexuality. Hester continues to be an important character in the novel, especially to Owen, as she grows to become his only girlfriend, giving him the intimate relationship he never had as a child, as he had a negligent, reclusive family like that of the Radleys from To Kill a Mockingbird. This is key, as with Hester's love for Owen, it turns him from a strange, supernatural being who foresees his own death, to a down-to-earth character with very relatable human qualities and companions. The final section of the novel includes many important and key plot events. The first of these includes John learning who his father is after years of searching and ignorance. John learns that his mother had a fling with his previous pastor, Mr. Merrill, a cowardly plain man. This is a key event as it resolves a personal conflict John had with himself and marks a third loss of innocence as John is disappointed to learn his father is just like him in character. A second key plot event in this section, as well as setting, is Vietnam. The Vietnam War and Owen's death at the Phoenix, Arizona airport. At the end of the novel, John learns the nature of Owen's dream. He discovers that Owen believes he must go to Vietnam and participate in the war in order to save a group of Vietnamese children. His sacrifice is fulfilled not at Vietnam, but at the Phoenix airport, in which he saves the children from a psychologically deranged army nut teenager named Dick Jarvitz. This is a key event as it reinforces Owen as a symbol of religious faith, as he was successful in predicting his own sacrifice. It is also key in showing John's transition into the anti-American he becomes at the end of the novel. At the end of the novel, there are two key symbols, the phoenix and the image of amputation. The phoenix is used to show John's pain for missing Owen. He wishes Owen would rise from his grave as a phoenix from the ashes of its death. Amputation occurs throughout the novel through Tabitha's dressmaker's dummy, a local totem pole, and a stuffed armadillo. In the beginning, this image represents, but through Owen's sacrifice in which he loses both his arms to a grenade explosion, the image evolves, holding a meaning of sacrifice and selflessness, as Owen's amputation is the result of him giving up his arms to save others. The novel includes many overarching ideas which shape the novel. 5 of these themes include the struggles of fitting in, as seen through John trying to model his behavior to that of a Canadian when he is older, the complications of developing personal morals, as seen through John's conflictions on whether there is a God, as well as the illusion of choice, with the concept of fate and God controlling decisions being debated throughout the book by the characters, and the painful imperfection of existence, as seen through the early event of Tabitha's death, as John's life with his mother should have been longer. Likewise, Irving's novel also relates to the course material covered. For instance, John and Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird fall prey to deceptive appearances, with Scout viewing Boo Radley as a monster and source of entertainment. Much like John with his feelings towards Owen at the beginning of the novel, both come to an open-mindedness at the end of their stories in which they see those they judged as they really are. The illusion of choice as seen in the novel can also be seen in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, with Romeo and Juliet contemplating fate and their nature as star-crossed lovers with fortune controlling them. Lastly, John relates to the protagonist Ellis from the film Mud, as both characters through the influence of others mature as people. Ellis, changing his belief in the way he views relationships and the people around him, compares to Owen helping John broaden his mind on religion. A Prayer for Owen Meany imparts readers with the nature and consequences of belief and sacrifice, and how they can change a person. But at the heart of the novel, it is simply about two best friends, and how through all odds their bonds overcome the controls of fate, time, and death, as detailed by the novel's final words.